There is a God.
There is a guy. No risk taker can dispute that. Because of Eustace Conway, our youths were filled with exciting escapades, the amazing tales of Conway's life on the most dangerous mountain, and his ability to go a day without food have enthralled us. His remarkable charm, love of nature, and ecological expertise were the things that shocked audiences. However, this famous person's whereabouts have been the subject of rumors as of late. According to legend, he bolted for the hills and was never heard from again. A lot of people think he was in some horrific accident or got lost, since he's so used to the risks in his environment. Sit back, relax, and be astounded by what we found out about the real reason why mountain men's Eustace Conway disappeared. The horrifying truth won't stop you from finishing this story. Now that we know who he is and how he got here, we can uncover the stunning truth behind this news. In 1961, a boy named Eustace Conway entered this world in South Carolina. His immediate family included 5 other people. Even as a little boy, he knew that the natural environment fascinated him, even while he was learning the skills that would shape his life. The energetic little boy Eustace loved exploring the surrounding woods and fields. At the age of 17, Eustace abandoned his high school studies and made his home in a teepee in the forest. At that moment, he resolved to coexist peacefully with nature. He picked up the ability to build a shelter, kindle a fire, and subsist on hunting and fishing. In no time, everything listed above was within his capabilities. While immersed in nature, Eustace learned all he needed to know to survive on his own, thanks to his unfaltering dedication and profound love for the natural world. People started calling Eustace a living legend as he became increasingly skilled at what he did. He became more credible as a result of this. People asked him for guidance on anything from property prices to hunting and trapping, among many other things. Media companies were eventually captivated by Eustace's brilliance and confidence, and he went on to star in several TV and documentary programs. However, Eustace's fascination with nature grew stronger as he aged. Working on farms as a teenager gave him the grounding he needed to learn to live sustainably. He didn't find his footing in a way that might change his life's trajectory until he was well into his 20s. He became famous after an appearance in an article in the 1987 New York Times, which greatly increased his visibility. Even though he had already become a hero to the locals, Eustace still had bigger dreams. Realizing his ambitious ambitions was as the objective he had set for himself. His own wilderness academy, situated on Turtle Island Preserve, was therefore founded as a first step in accomplishing his ambitions. The excellence of his life was the consequence of the knowledge and qualities he shared there with others. Located in North Carolina's Blue Ridge Mountains, the academy was built in the early 1900s, a roadway capable of carrying traffic at speeds of up to 1,000 miles per hour makes it easy to reach. The 1,000 acres of land have become a meeting place for people who are passionate about sustainable living, nature, and learning about one of and talents. Contrarily, Eustace's achievements were not devoid of difficulties. After a dispute with the local authority over land use rules in 1998, he was compelled to shut down his school. There was a long delay before the matter reached the Supreme Court, but once it did, his suit against the government gave him some victory. Eustace overcame obstacles by staying true to his dream of a sustainable outdoor lifestyle. He became an outspoken supporter of sustainable lifestyles and environmental protection as his career progressed, and he rose to Popularity. It is undeniable that Eustace Conway possesses enigmatic abilities and is an accomplished outdoorsman. His extraordinary survival skills and unorthodox lifestyle on the smash hit program Mountain Men have won him millions of fans. But where was Eustace Conway while the program was airing? I don't understand why he decided to quit the program. Some speculated that he had grown tired of the constant scrutiny and returned to his North Carolina woodland property as the rumors about him spread. It was at the same time that some people began to suspect something more worse had happened. We need to know how he interacted with his coworkers while on the program, and what transpired to make him want to leave the show immediately. Before we can answer that question, Preston Roberts and Eustace Conway were out in the rugged Blue Ridge Mountains for what seemed like an endless loop of filming episodes of Mountain Men. Supposedly Eustace Conway keeps his promises. Their day took a turn for the worst. Even though they had set out on a short journey to deliver some lumber boards, as they ascended a precipitous slope, they suddenly became aware of an issue happening under the vehicle. Rapidly making their way to the trail's side, they got down on one knee to fix the problem. It turned out, though, that fate had bigger plans for them. Not long after they started, the car started to slip down the dirt route, and the two of them couldn't stop it. Then panic, anxiety, and hopelessness began to set in. All of them were visible on Eustace's face. They stood there powerless after their beloved car was wrecked. As the truck raced away from view, the sound of the cylinders flicking off on the rear sign echoed through the hills. The two people felt an overwhelming sense of powerlessness when they realized they couldn't change the course of destiny. As the rubble from the disaster started to settle, the gravity of the situation became clear. It was obvious that the experience had not ended well, and the vehicle looked like it was about to collapse. According to an additional report, the fact that Eustace had to say goodbye to his loyal friend was a major factor in his choice to quit the program. Preston Roberts, a cancer sufferer, lost his fight after doctors found an inoperable form of the illness in his liver. Eustace suffered a devastating loss when he had to split ways with his beloved spouse. Eustace may have felt he could no longer cope with the program's loss and suffering, which would explain his wish to withdraw. The possibility that viewers may say goodbye to their beloved character Eustace Conway caught them unawares. His charming personality and extraordinary outdoor skills kept spectators engrossed in the program for a long time. So when word got out that he was quitting the program, all the fans were startled and upset. A weekly radio show called This American Life covered Conway's cross-country travels in an episode called Adventures in the Simple Life. That aired on September 11, 1998. Conway and his party members used a handheld recorder to record the audio that is used in the presentation Full Circle, a life story of Eustace Conway. A documentary film on the life of Eustace Conway was directed by Jack Bibbo and was released in 2003. Conway is one of 4 interviews that appear in the 2012 documentary Recon Convergence, which was filmed by Edward Tyndall. You can catch the History Channel's Mountain Men reality show. Conway was a guest on the show. His routine, which included getting his chores done and putting food away for the impending winter, was a major emphasis of the show. A lien has been issued against the land, and Conway is fighting to protect it. Turtle Island was closed to the public in November 2012 due to traditional structures that were determined to be in breach of the construction laws. It seems like Conway was approaching the North Carolina Building Code Council with a plan to resolve the matter by mid-December 2012. Unfortunately, Conway was jailed for trespassing on a neighbor's property in a dispute over the property boundary. Right after the seeming success with the Code Council, the legal battles against Turtle Island persisted in this manner shortly after Conway began experiencing problems with the North Carolina Building Code Council. State authorities became aware of them. An exception from the building code standards for what are deemed as primitive buildings was offered by the General Assembly of North Carolina through their intervention with a resounding yes. House Bill 774 was approved by both the state's legislative chambers after Governor Pat Crow signed the measure into law on June 12, 2013. It became official. Eustace Conway was interviewed about his future plans and the possibility of his continued Part 1 participation in the game show. His answer was vague, giving the impression that he may resign from the series at a later date. Much of the crowd was taken aback by the news, and many wondered if the show could ever function normally without him. But then something unexpected happened, and fans were about to accept the idea of Eustace departing. With the publication of the cast roster for the next season of Mountain Men came the news that Eustace will be joining the group. Word quickly circulated among viewers that their beloved character will be back for another season, much to the delight of fans. Once again, Conway's net worth has shocked everyone as the issue of how he managed to accumulate such enormous wealth is on everyone's mind. With the publication of the cast roster for the next season of Mountain Men came the news that Eustace will be joining the group. By only defending the environment did he amass $1 million? Or is he a multimillionaire thanks to the program Mountain Men? Conway has established an environmental academy, which has become a refuge for individuals of all ages with an interest in learning about the natural world's many facets, something you are unaware of. Above and beyond this, he has reached a wider audience through his social media accounts, where he has over 49,000 followers. The woodland wonderland that Eustace Conway has discovered span a th000 acres, and whose value is rising at an exponential rate, is his heaven. A whopping $20 million, 10 times that amount was given to him, but he still refused to sell for Eustace. Turtle Island is much more than land. It is his refuge, his link to nature, and the bedrock of his religion and way of life. There is evidence that Eustace can thrive in the harshest environments. He has a history of success in this regard. However, in 2023, what exactly is Eustace Conway up to? In a nutshell, he is still very much involved in the education and outdoor adventure sectors, where he is making waves. One of Eustace's most recent achievements was the design of an innovative teaching program that was implemented at the Turtle Island Preserve, which he had previously established in the 1980s. Practical instruction in ancient skills, eco-friendly lifestyle practices, and wilderness survival techniques are all part of the new Wilderness University curriculum. Not long ago, he received an invitation to speak at a major ecological conference in Europe. His ideas for a future civilization in which humans coexist peacefully with nature, rather than exploiting it for human benefit, were discussed there. He has been asked to speak at similar gatherings in the future due to the excellent response his prior speech garnered. There have been times of great success and times of great difficulty for Eustace's life exemplifies both of these things. A cord battle with the local authorities who sought to shut down his institution was one of many challenges he has had to surmount. He persisted over the ages because he was steadfast in his devotion to his principles and his appreciation of nature with his Turtle Island Preserve as an example of environmentally responsible living. Eustace has become one of the most respected authorities on traditional ways of life in modern times. His experience exemplifies the strength of achieving one's goals no matter how unusual they may seem. Few names have the same catastrophic effect in the hard wilderness as Tom. Tom has become a global celebrity because to his appearances on the hit TV show Mountain Men he has a stellar reputation for being able to weather extreme conditions and for having an intimate relationship with nature. However, triumph and tragedy were the defining features of Tom's life, and they both contributed to his rise to fame. Beneath the rough exterior is a life worth living. Being one's own person in all aspects of life is celebrated in Eustace. Many believe he represents the planet by speaking up for the environment, something he deeply values. Sally Middleton, a famous wildlife artist, told him on his 31st birthday, "You are the most interesting man I have ever met." Perhaps this is because Eustace has achieved all his dreams and ambitions, lived the life he always pictured for himself. Similar to Thoreau, Eustace has sought solace in the woods to live a life of meaning, concentrating on what matters most in the hopes of discovering what life has to offer and avoiding the crushing disappointment of realizing he had wasted his life when his time on Earth came to an end. He has settled into the jungle as his home for the past 40 years. He learned by doing crazy things. For instance, when Eustace's thumb was badly sliced, he used plant medicine to mend it and sewed it back together with 12 stitches. Dr. Harvard S.S., an anthropology professor at Appalachian State University, wrote, "Eustace is an articulate student of life." At his graduation from Appalachian State University, Eustace was named Most Outstanding Anthropology Senior. He has a degree in both anthropology and English. The outdoors, meanwhile, is where Eustace thrives as a learner. He loves the cold and the rain. Steve McQueen once stated, "I would rather wake up in the middle of nowhere than in any city in the world." When he quotes this, he quickly cracks a smile. At the age of 12, Eustace embarked on a solo camping trip to the Highlands. His life on the land was his favorite. At the age of 17, he left home and settled inside an Indian teepee. For the next 17 winters he lived in this teepee alone. For a long time he had to make all of his own clothes out of buckskin and gather all of his own equipment. At the age of 18 he paddled a 000 miles down the Mississippi River. After that he walked the roughly 2,000 miles of the Appalachian Trail to finish the adventure, paddling his kayak throughout the whole southern coast of Alaska. He was joined by whales and icebergs in the course of his TXS. He has covered almost 5,000 miles of breathtaking wilderness paths across several continents, including Europe, North America, Australia, and New Zealand. Along these routes he has passed through verdant rainforests and sandy deserts. During his time among several Indian communities, he worked with many different tribes to honor their traditions. He has held the positions of State Natural IST at North Carolina's Crowder Mountain Park and Federal Interpreter at New Mexico's Chaco Canyon National Park. You may find both of these parks in Virginia. Eustace Conway is an activist who gets things done and a dreamer who lays the groundwork for his own ambitions. Along the way he has a modest respect for the unique histories and experiences of every person and joyfully appreciates the variety of humankind as expiation of our interdependence with nature. Is that all? Things are related in the circle of life. As he puts it, the natural environment is the inspiration behind all of my lessons. She pointed out, I think it is still feasible for people to live in balance with nature in our present day, and I have discovered that the examples of American Indian customs have given me a lot of inspiration and direction in this regard. By pooling my resources, I'm able to give my pupils opportunities for hands-on learning in natural settings. The importance of man in the intricately interwoven fabric of existence is readily apparent to anybody who takes part in these customs. By immersing ourselves in other cultures, we not only learn more about the world around us, but also about ourselves. Eustace is a gifted teacher, entertainer, and communicator who knows how to captivate an audience with his eloquence and keen observation skills. As a storyteller, Eustace pulls on lifetime times of anecdotes to enlighten and delight his listeners. The time a black snake climbed up his back and stayed there for 20 minutes before quietly slipping off is one such instance. No one could teach Conway and his students to live in peace with nature unless he personally owned 1,000 acres of the property to get to the gate. Tourists drive by a sign that says no shirt, no shoes, no problem, and then pass a beautiful stream. The creek meanders from the parking area into a wide and heavily forested valley. In addition, the hilly terrain surrounding him is his property and is teeming with old-growth trees. Turtle Island blocks the watershed from flowing through it by encircling the nearby ridgetops. Base camp, the main campus without power, is the starting point of the expedition. According to Conway, the trail has been used for camping and hunting since Daniel Boone climbed this cliff, which is a good indication that it is hundreds of years old. Old foundation stone walls and a sawmill from the 1920s may be seen along the route. The first blacksmith shop on Turtle Island was built by Conway using the same stones that had been used at the site of an earlier business. The massive wood structure with several hearths and anvils for use in the classroom was just recently completed at the blacksmith shop. Conway pauses and says a lot of times people would take their houses apart when they moved. This explains how the older building on this location ended up in Boone, where it is still standing as a barn. Relatives of the land's former owner told Conway this tale and gave him a harness that had been used there before. Even though it's been 90 years, he still uses the harness on the farm. Does Conway really earn a livelihood even if his existence is unquestionably a living history? He says, I have everything that anyone needs to survive. He describes how he grows, finds or hunts his own food, and builds his own housing. Even as a little child, I made up my mind to uphold those long forgotten customs and principles. This is where Turtle Island as a learning institution comes in. It's something I'd like to accomplish on my own and really like, so that others may join in. Word gets out about it, and I set a good example, since all three of Eustace's paternal grandparents were teachers. He comes from a long line of educators, one of the fathers of American camping and a man of tremendous American importance. Chief Johnson, his grandpa, founded Camp Sequoia in 1924. The foundation of the Turtle Island program is the groundbreaking Sequoia program, which has far-reaching and enduring effects. 3 generations have built upon this foundation. The log house where Eustace's mom spent her childhood in Sequoia was heated by a huge stone fireplace. Growing up among nature allowed her to absorb a wealth of information about the world around her. Becoming a teacher was her next step. After finishing her master's degree in education, the outdoors are a favorite Pastime of chemical engineering. Professor Dr. Eustace Conway 3E. Became famous for his love of hiking. After once completing 50 kilometers of mountain trails in a single outing when he was a little boy, his dad would take him to the doctor whenever he was sickin'. Exhilarating whitewater canoe adventure. Nearly overwhelmed 4-year-old Eustace. Because of his father's insistence that every experience had the potential to teach him something, Eustace grew up with a thirst for knowledge and a passion for passing it on to others. Near Boone, North Carolina, on 1,000 acres of property, stands Turtle Island Preserve, an environmental education center and wild life preserve that Eustace finally got his heart's desire in. 1987, he is in charge of a unique and innovative way to get people outside at Turtle Island Preserve. If things were perfect, Eustace would work toward global peace by instituting a basic curriculum that taught us to value and understand the people and places that make our lives worthwhile. As a professor, he is proud to defend Emerson's famous quote, "What you do speaks so loud that I cannot hear what you say." Perseverance is exemplified by Eustace Conway's path, living off the grid and sharing his expertise at Turtle Island Preserve. Eustace perseveres through legal disputes, personal problems, and an ever-changing world. The future of his television career is uncertain, but one thing is certain: Eustace Conway's tale of independence and harmony with nature never gets old. So where does Eustace Conway go from here? Do you think he'll go back to becoming a reality TV star, or stick to living independently at Turtle Island Preserve? Who will remember Eustace Conway as a contemporary mountain man? Time will tell, but one thing is certain: it will be secure. We will now conclude. Please hit the like, share and subscribe button if you found this video entertaining. I'll also let you know when my next video is out if you enable post notifications.